Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me the authors of a book that I have found so amusing, so entertaining that I absolutely had to get them on the show. So let me tell you a little bit more about Mike Fischer and Jeff Schimmel. So Mike Fischer's sales career spans more than 40 years, beginning with entrepreneurial hustles like selling electronics at flea markets and ad space in his high school newspaper. He went on to become a top-performing salesman and manager at major media companies such as NBC and Tribune Media, where he sold over $30 million in advertising in a single year. Mike was also instrumental in driving growth for brands like Ford, Toyota, Sony, and several startups, including one acquired by Disney. And Jeff, his co-author, describes himself as an accidental salesman whose nearly 50-year journey includes a door-to-door stint with the Fuller Brush Company and selling everything from houseplants and leather goods to pharmaceuticals and fine art. With experience across countless industries and sales environments, Mike and Jeff have truly seen and heard it all and offer a funny, unique perspective on sales in their new book, Sales Prevention: How to Be the World's Worst Salesperson. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, I've already started reading the book and have found it to be quite amusing. And it's sometimes like, oh yeah, I remember when I first got started in sales, I made that mistake. So let's start. Mike, what made you want to write a book about being the world's worst salesperson?
Well, really, the best advice I got is to take your business serious, take work serious, but not yourself too serious. So really, it can be very stressful when you're in sales. And I think the best way to relieve stress is through humor. And, to take a step back, laugh at the situation, or, laughing at ourselves really helps our attitude and motivation.
Yeah, I agree. I am big into making things amusing and definitely less stressful. So I feel you there. Jeff, what made you want to be a part of writing a book about being the world's worst salesperson?
Well, Mike and I have known each other for several years now, and he's a real sales guy. I'm not. He is. But I've had a lot of sales experience, and I've made every mistake you could possibly make. And I've heard a lot of bad advice, a lot of good advice too, but usually the good advice comes through some kind of a boring method or like a real hackneyed old technique, which you can smell from a mile away, when you hear someone giving you a sales pitch. So we were talking about it one day, and I said, maybe the best way to teach people how to be good at sales is to teach them how to be horrible and to do the worst possible things. And Mike is such a great guy. He's such a pro that he had a very difficult time being horrible. I had to force him into it. And a lot of times we would write something together and I would laugh about how good and how professional he was being. I said, that's not going to help.
Yeah.
That stuff's already out there.
Yeah.
I was just telling Jenny offline that Jeff and I could write another book called, instead of Sales Prevention, co-writing a book, Prevention. How not to co-author a book. Because for some reason, we both just started writing chapters before realizing our writing styles are very different and didn't match. So also, since we were writing a tongue-in-cheek book, like Jeff was saying, that was really showing what not to do, we had to keep rethinking how to write it. Jeff is an experienced comedy writer, And he kept telling me I was being too nice, and that, basically I'd rewrite it and he'd say, yeah, now you sound like an asshole. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that snarkiness in the book. It's really like it's kept a smile on my face as I'm reading it because either it's reminding me of someone I know who sold to me like that or attempted to sell to me like that, or it's, as I mentioned, like, oh yeah, I made that mistake early on when I was learning what to do and what not to do. So, and you guys have, it looks like from your introduction, quite a plethora of sales experiences. How have those sales experiences informed what you share in the book? Jeff, do you want to go first?
Well, yeah, like I said, I've made every mistake and I've seen every mistake made. And I've been on sales teams, in the past, way back when managers, sales managers, or executives, whatever company, would sit us down and hammer away, here's how you do it. And I never put those things into practice because they never worked. I mean, I
Mm.
never saw them work. And like I said, you could see them coming from a mile away. So I always tried to find a little bit of a different way to be more genuine and be myself. If it worked, great. If it didn't, okay. But the standard way of doing things just always seemed so cheesy to me that I couldn't pull it off with a straight face.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't recite the proper lines and I couldn't try to get someone to tell me the secret as to why. I mean, can I just like go down a road for a second here
Yeah,
with this?
please.
Okay. So I remember being told by a veteran salesperson, hey, here's a trick. When you're in an office with someone you're selling and they don't want to buy from you, pack up your stuff, head for the door, and right before you get to the door, turn around, look back at them with kind of a sad expression on your face and say, if I could have made you believe in this product as much as I do, you would have bought it. So obviously, I didn't communicate that to you properly. So before I go, can you please just tell me what I did wrong? And when that person tells you what you did wrong, then you can overcome that objection. And I said, well, that's great. I mean, it sounds really nice. You're telling me that sitting in your office, but I can't do that in real life. I can't act in an office and be sad and, you know, have one tear. Can you please tell me, what I did wrong?
Right.
That stuff I'm not the kind of person that could do that. So I always thought there was another way. And like I said, when Mike and I talked about sales in general, I thought all this standard stuff to me is just, it's too obvious. It's too transparent. You're selling someone, and who likes that feeling? I don't like to be the one that's being hammered away on. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
no, that makes perfect sense.
I have no idea if I answered your question,
You
but
did.
that's
You
okay.
did.
But that
It was how did your experiences inform going into and writing the book? So that's a great example right there. Mike, how about you? How have
Yeah.
your sales experiences, especially the variety that you described in your bio, how did
Yeah.
that inform the writing of the book?
Yeah, while writing the book, I was thinking back on my career and all the mistakes I've made and all the curmudgeons that gave me bad advice. But like some of the most common mistakes are like procrastination or avoidance, especially these days when people are working from home. You know, prospecting, for instance, is one of the least favorite things for salespeople. And if you don't set aside that time, specific and a specific prospect list that has contact information. It's just human nature to find other things to do rather than, the task in hand. If you're working from home, like I said, maybe it's garbage day and you forgot to take out the garbage or the dog needs to be walked. So if you do the opposite of, like, for instance, on chapter 17, time management is a waste of time, right? Our book tells you to do the opposite of what our book tells you to do and, activate your prospecting. Like, for instance, for me, I just put in 2 hours, block off 2 hours on my calendar for prospecting. And then, that's one of the things to get to your goals.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic because I agree. The number one complaint that I hear from people in direct sales, especially direct sales, network marketing, and MLM, is I don't have anyone else to sell to. Well, that's
Right.
because you're not prospecting, right? Like you call it
Mm.
prospecting. In my world, I call it networking, right? Grow your network. Because you're literally, if somebody's in network marketing, it tells you what to do in the description. Network marketing.
Mm.
50% of your job is grow your network. 50% of your job is marketing, right? Which is not sales. Sales is a very different thing from marketing. But, that's why this is Badass Direct Sales, which is also for direct sales and network marketing both. So, as you guys are thinking through this, like, what is the biggest mistake that you made in your sales career, especially in the aspect of sales, that ended up becoming maybe your favorite chapter in the book? To let us know what that story is. Mike, you've got a big smile on your face, like you've already got something picked.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, my favorite chapters are the ones that make me laugh the most, which the customer's always wrong, talk more, listen less, just the titles. But I think failing to follow up is one of the things I found myself doing wrong.
Mm.
After spending a long time and effort, setting up a meeting, doing the research, having the meeting, sometimes you forget to take the next step. And one of the chapters, don't be in a hurry to follow up. Uh, you should do the opposite of that and, ask for and schedule a follow-up call or meeting like right after, this last thing you do after the call. But, a lot of times you get busy and you're on to the next sales prospect and you miss that window of opportunity. So I've done that, once or twice and saw that I really missed out on a big sale. And I made sure to set up and schedule the next step after that meeting. So follow-up sounds so like duh, but yeah, just do the opposite of chapter 11 and you'll do great.
I love that. And Jeff is shaking his head like,
Yeah.
what's your worst sales story that ended up informing one of the chapters that became your favorite?
Okay. Well, I would just say this though. I can easily answer where Mike totally went wrong on this. Again, he's too professional. He's too worried about you know doing the right thing, sounding right. Really, the biggest mistake you can make if you want to sell a lot is telling the truth. If you tell the truth, you're not going to sell very much. You need to lie and you need to be good at it. I mean, I'm just saying based on the book.
Right.
But okay,
Yes.
so if you go into a sales meeting, you're talking to a prospective customer and they say, now, if I were to buy this thing, can I actually get it by April 1st? Oh, yeah, of course. April 1st, I'm going to make a note of that. You have to have, no. I mean, maybe April 1st, it may not. I know it's not going to even come in until May, but that product's not going to be available. But if you say, no, you can't have it by April 1st, they're not going to buy it. So you just need to lie. If it has, does this product actually have this feature? Yeah, of course it does. Absolutely. And does it? No. But if you say no, are they going to buy it? No. I mean, but see, that's just an example of it. You really just have to be able to lie about everything.
Of
And
course.
if they ask a question you don't know the answer to, make it up. I
Yeah.
mean, the object is not to, confess. You're not sitting in a booth talking to a priest. You're trying to get people to sign on the dotted line and write you a check.
Of
So
course.
whatever it takes to get there is what you do. You're a salesman. You're not their friend. So, and anyway, see,
Yeah.
that's the approach basically of the book is if I'm telling you lie about everything, embarrass the client, make them feel bad about
Right.
themselves, and you'll be more successful. If you can really understand that concept and then do the exact opposite, you could be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
It,
actually, there's a lot of people out there that are lying that are doing very well.
yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
No, you're definitely very correct. I understood going into the book that it was written in a way that was meant to be a guide of how not to do it properly, right? For those of us
Yeah.
who are like, I don't want to be a bad salesperson. I want to be a good one, but trying to find all the right things. Well, sometimes the best way to figure out what to do is by seeing, okay, don't do that. Right. And
Right.
so reading some of those in the first few chapters that I've gotten through already, I was like, oh yeah, no, that's definitely not something to do. Agreed.
No,
And
all of it,
yeah,
all
yeah,
of it.
that's,
I
and
mean,
no,
I
go
can
ahead.
just tell you this. Okay, I tend to talk too much. Mike can tell you, but I remember being at a car dealership, and there's something like this in the book. I was at a car dealership, and I was the one looking for a car, and I liked it. It was nice. The salesperson was there, would not leave me alone, and I asked whatever questions I had, and then when it got to the moment of truth, the salesperson said, "So, what do you think? I mean, are you ready to go on this? Can we go to my office and write it up?" And I said, "Well, I have to talk to my wife first. This is a big purchase, and I'm not just going to make that decision and then come home in a car that she didn't know anything about." And his response to that was, "Wow, I guess I know who wears the pants in your family. You know, I don't ask my wife if I'm going to buy something. Hey, I'm the man in the house. I'm the breadwinner. If I want to buy a car, I'm buying it. But I feel bad for you, buddy. I mean, if you got to run this stuff by some, woman at home." And I just remember thinking, wow, this guy is horrible. He's not even talking to me about the car, the price, the features, the pros, and versus the cons. He's
Right.
insulting me as a person. He's trying to make me say, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll show you.
Right.
I am the man of the house, and yeah, I am going to buy it without asking my wife." Well, that wouldn't have been a good idea in my real life,
Yeah.
but that was his method. And I actually was in a car dealership and was on my best behavior, and the car salesman actually wanted to get into a fist fight with me.
No
That
way.
really happened. I mean, do you want to hear it? Should I tell you what happened quickly
I mean,
or
yeah.
no?
I mean, I can't imagine anybody in the badass crew ever wanting to start a fight, but hey, let's hear it.
No, the guy took me aside. I went in. My father-in-law needed a car. He had a, finite amount of money. He wanted to
Mhm.
pay cash. And we looked at the car, and I talked to the salesperson, and he said, "Listen, we're having a sales contest, and I can't sell the car to you at that price. I know that I can't. But if you're willing to pay more, sign the paperwork, pay more, and I will give you the difference back in cash. And because I need to sell this car at that price to win the contest. So when the month is over, I will give you the difference back in cash." And I said, "Can I get it in writing?" And he said, "No, I can't do that because if my boss finds out, I'm going to lose my job." And I said, "So you're just asking me to trust you that after we buy this car and sign all the paperwork, you're just going to give me the extra money back?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's right. Don't worry about it. Everything's cool." And I said, "Let's get out of here." And I started to walk out with my father in law, and he blocked the door and started yelling. And he literally wanted to fight me because I was going to cost him winning the sales contest.
Yeah. No,
So,
that's not a great way to sell.
not a good technique. And by the way, was he lying? Of course he was lying. I would have come back in and said, "Okay, give me the money." And he would have said, "What are you talking about?
Right.
Here's the paperwork. You signed it. What money?"
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, if they're not willing to put it in writing, that not a good sign generally.
right,
Not a good
right.
sign. Yeah. Mike, was there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I used to have just talking about sales and stress and how to relieve it, which I think is, the whole purpose of this book is really just to have a good laugh and try to have a better attitude when you're in those stressful situations. I used to have a cartoon of a New Yorker magazine taped to my wall that showed a salesman on the phone with a client, and the caption says, "How about never? Is never a good time for you?" And whenever I would, be trying to get that meeting, I would just and couldn't. I would just look at that and I would be like, yeah, it just make me feel a little better. the fact that that was in a national magazine, you're not the only one that's feeling that way.
Right. That's a good one. I I don't think I've seen that comic. I'll have to see if I can find that. That's a good one. That'd be a fun little Easter egg to throw in the show notes. A link to that picture. But so now continuing on, as you guys were going through this process, did you find it difficult to, because you guys have quite a number of chapters in this book. Now they're all very short and sweet. I found so far, at least flipping through the parts that I haven't gotten to read yet. Did you guys find it difficult to find so many ways to tell people how not to sell? Jeff's already shaking his head.
No, I
No,
mean, think
I
about
think we could have
whatever.
kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
think about whatever, good advice is out there for salespeople, and just do the opposite. And there's plenty of good advice. So yeah, we could do the second edition, third edition, fourth edition.
Of how to be the worst salesperson.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Absolutely.
look at the old school sales tapes, I don't know if those exist anymore, but I remember when my brother was a stereo salesman back in the 70s, he bought a set of sales tapes, cassette tapes, and there had to have been at least, I think there were 36 tapes. And so the topics within sales are unlimited, I think, depending on how you look at each individual discipline that's in there. But I used to listen to some of those tapes with them, and they were hilarious. Not on purpose. They were just so cheesy that they were really funny. And so this is something that we were trying to avoid. Let's give bad advice to lead to good advice. It's reverse psychology. This book is backwards, by design. That's what we were doing. But it's endless. I mean, there really is no end of the road when it comes to thinking about how, because really it's all relationships, personal interaction, communication, the way you strategize, think about doing things. Because I remember when Mike and I were talking about prospecting, and the first thing that popped into my head is that's an old guy from the Wild West with a donkey going out into the desert and trying to find gold. That's prospecting to me.
Uh-huh.
Like you're talking about doing all of this work to try to find customers, clients,
Little tiny
and
nuggets.
yeah, I'm like, I don't even want to hear that word, because it doesn't lead me in a good direction. It just makes me think of something that's pointless. Usually those people going out in the desert to find gold don't find anything. So it already was triggering, like, this is a bad thing. How much time do you really want to spend looking for clients when there's got to be an easier way? Don't waste your time looking for clients. There's shortcuts all over the place. So that was one of the discussions we had in the very beginning, is that really everything that you should be doing, you can find the counter argument to that.
Yeah.
And again, that's what the book is. Don't waste your time trying to create a rapport with people. Just fake a rapport with them. Why get involved? Like, why try to get into a relationship? That's not why you're there. You're there to make money.
And sales really is more than just a profession. Everything we do, every day, we're selling ourselves, right?
Yes.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
endless, like Jeff said.
Yeah. When I was active in my jewelry business back in the day, one of the things I would regularly tell people was, look, if you don't buy anything, that's fine. We can still be friends. It's not the buying is not the guarantee of a relationship with me. It's, are we cool now?
Okay. Okay, but wait though. Did
Yeah.
you mean it?
Yes.
Oh, you did mean it.
I did mean
Okay.
it, but
Okay, because see, to me that sounds fishy.
right, exactly. Well, if
Like,
you
you
want
don't
it
have
to
to
be,
buy anything. We can still be friends. Sounds like I'm putting pressure on you. I'm making you feel bad that you're not buying something because I'm still willing to be your friend. So do you understand what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
why I asked you, did you mean it?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I would have preferred it if you didn't mean it.
it. Here's the thing. I think for a lot of people who are in sales, especially because so many people, even nowadays in the time of virtual sales and online sales and things like that, many of us are still in the same community as those who are buying from us. And so we feel that there's I've still got to be able to show my face, you know?
Mhm.
And so if somebody reads your book and does what the book says, be ready to move a lot,
Right.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah. Right?
That's okay, because if you move, I mean, if you've basically burned every bridge in a certain area of your town, move to another area of town and just don't put any of that that work experience on your resume, and you'll get another job, and you'll have a whole nother slew of victims that you can prey
Right.
upon. I
Oh
mean,
my
Yep.
God.
like I said, it's much easier,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
So much
Okay.
easier. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike.
That's why Jeff, moves every couple of years. He screwed over so many clients or customers that he's got to keep going. I don't know even where he lives right now. I can't keep track.
Right? Oh my gosh. So, quick question then, going back to that. How did you guys end up meeting? Because, I do find it fairly typical that good salespeople do tend to find good salespeople. So how did you guys end up meeting?
Well, actually, through our wives, my wife and Jeff's wife worked together, and then they came over to our house once, and we hit it off. And then my wife's been trying to get me to write a book about sales for years, and I have a lot of success and interesting situations and stories, but I felt like I needed something unique. I didn't have anything unique enough to really write a book. So I was telling Jeff this one day, and he said, "Hey, came up with the idea of sales prevention, how to be the world's worst salesperson." And I immediately started cracking up and instantly loved it.
Yeah. Now, is that how you remember it, Jeff?
Kind of. Yeah. But Mike's right. We did meet through our wives, and then we met each other, and I was like, ugh, see, I wish my wife wouldn't talk to anybody at the office. But no, Mike is so straight, and he's so professional in the way he does things. It's funny to me because yes, I've done a lot of sales over the years in so many different, products and types of sales, but I never took it as seriously because
Mm.
there were other things that I was doing. But so I look at Mike and I'm like, wow, he's so straight and he's so professional. How do we now that we're talking, how do we take that and completely turn it on its head? Because you're the guy that I could never be if I could have never been that in any of my
Yeah.
sales experience.
Yeah.
So it's just looking at it a little bit differently. Mike's like, wow, I know the right way. Now, how do I twist it into another way of teaching to have a way for people to learn? And I was looking at it like this could be really funny if we just envision the worst possible salesperson and track them through all of their behaviors. So we came to it in a little bit different way, and we had a great time writing it. We used to try, Mike's in Florida, I'm in California now.
Okay.
He couldn't handle it here anymore, so he left. But
Fair.
I'm trying to get away
we
from
would
Jeff, to tell the truth.
we would get on the phone and talk through things that we were writing, and there were times that we were laughing so hard we couldn't talk because it was
Just the
so
best.
extreme. Some of these examples are very extreme. Did you
Yeah.
take the quiz, by the way, at the end of the book?
Not yet. I haven't gotten there yet. Is the
Okay.
quiz at the end of the book something we should do at the beginning? Should we do it first and
No.
then go read? Okay, wait. Take the quiz at the end of the book. Okay. I
Yes.
promise I will take the quiz at the end of the book, and I'll reach out to you guys and let you know my results.
Okay. And just
Right.
understand, like everything else, if you pass the test, then you fail as a good salesperson.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
It does.
If you
I think I
if you
can
get
figure that out.
Yes, if you excel on this quiz, it means you've mastered everything in the book, which means you are terrible.
Nice. I love it.
And you just
Yeah.
have to channel that curmudgeon. You know those two guys in the balcony and the Muppets,
Yes.
two old guys. Just channel them, and then you'll understand how Jeff thinks.
Nice. Okay. I think I can do that. Now, in addition to the book, you guys are also putting together sales training opportunities then for sales teams to learn what not to do and what to do. Tell me more about what you guys are in the process of putting together now. Mike, do you want to get us started?
Yeah. Well, I've been through many sales seminars and listened to the tapes, Brian Tracy and all those guys, just like Jeff has. And I think one of the chapters in the books is don't bother going to another sales seminar. And I think a lot of us get something out of the sales seminars, but usually it's like, oh no, not one of these again. So we just want to make it more fun and make it informative but fun at the same time. And just as the book does, I think we can do that with a curriculum as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff,
Yeah,
what's your take on what you guys are putting together?
Yeah, I agree with what Mike said. I also know from my own experience, because I've taught other subjects, if you can get people to look at it a little bit differently. Okay, so I'm not stuck in this, hotel meeting room with a bunch of other people, learning the same stuff that I've read or heard, or even if it's new material, I've got a ring binder and I'm flipping through pages and doing lessons. Nobody wants to do that. It's not as much fun as having an entertaining way of presenting the material, making people laugh, making them understand. One of the great things I think about this book is that as you're reading a particular chapter, I think a salesperson can recognize themselves and just say either, I've done that and I realize the error of my ways, or I would never do that, or oh no, that this is something I'm on my way to. I think you take your own temperature when you read it. You read it and realize I'm either that or I'm not. Or I want to be that or I don't.
Yeah.
So, but each one, like you said, the chapters are really short. So you just keep on having to answer that question about yourself. Is this the way I want to go about this, or do I want to do this the better way?
Mm.
Or like me, it took me down memory lane, remembering things with, in my career where I got bad advice or maybe I did something stupid myself.
Yeah. I think everyone in sales has made many of the mistakes that are brought up in the book, or at least some of them, right? I say, thank goodness for Facebook memories, because it brings back and shows me things that I did early in my sales career that I now actually literally coach my clients not to do. And so every once in a while, when they pop up in my memories, I'll send it to my clients and be like, see, I told you I was not always good at sales.
Right.
Look at what I was putting out on Facebook back in 2012.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Another great quote I remember is, we learn more from our failures than our successes.
Yeah, big time.
Not if you don't have failures.
Right?
Right.
Or a record of them.
Right. But that's good. If you're the only one that remembers what you did, what bad thing it is that you did, then it never happened.
Right. Except, Facebook has it there to remind me. So it's good. It's, hey, Jenny, don't remember when you did that thing? How about you don't do that thing anymore? Right.
Exactly.
You know what? I don't mind if you do something bad. I can still be your friend. See?
We'll hold it against you.
Yeah. Did that sound real?
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, yes. It did.
Okay, good.
A little bit. You're walking the line pretty good there. So I love it. No, absolutely. So there's so much in this book we could continue talking about, but we are running low on time here. So for those who are interested, they can get your book on Amazon?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So Badass Crew, talking to you right now. In the show notes is the link to get the book on Amazon. And guess what? If you're interested in getting the book, Mike and Jeff have offered a few copies that they will send to the first few Badass crew members who send them an email and say you heard them on the show. So, Mike, you want to tell us a little bit more about this gift you have for a few of our members?
Yeah, and I see how you picked me rather than Jeff, because Jeff will tell you that he will send you the book, but,
Yep.
he will. It's a lie. He won't, but I will.
Yes.
I think
Awesome.
the email address we use is the one we use for the book, salesprevention1,
Yep.
number 1 at gmail.com.
Very good. Yes, it is. So sales prevention 1. And as Jeff said, it's the number 1 at gmail.com. And of course, we have the link to the email address in the show notes, guys. So if you're worried about spelling it wrong or anything like that, don't worry about it. Go to the show notes. So in case this is your first time ever listening to the episode, click on today's episode on your phone, as long as you're not driving. And right there under the picture of the book, you will see the link on Amazon if you want to pay for it, and the email in case you'd like a free copy. And if you're one of the first few, you just might get a free copy mailed to you from Mike. So click on that link, that email link, to get that. And or if you're just like, nope, just want to buy it, go for it. This is a great, and I would recommend, as a former leader of a team, for those of you who have a team, this could make a really great gift for your team members, by the way, in case you're looking for something to get them to help them not be the worst salesperson ever.
Thank you,
Right.
Jenny. And if you want to write a review after you've read it, we'd love that as well.
Oh, absolutely. So, we are big about gratitude here on Badass Direct Sales Mastery. So yes, if you get the book and you read it, please make sure you go to Amazon and leave a review for them as well. And I will do that as well.
Even if you don't read it, just lie and say you read it and it's great.
There you go. You're learning.
He's learning. He's learning. I love
He's
it.
learning.
Exactly. All right. Well, gentlemen, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. This was amazing. And I cannot wait to finish reading the book. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Jenny.
having us. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jeff and Mike. Thank you guys so much. And Badass
Thank
Crew,
you.
stay tuned, because you know what's coming up next. It's another badass episode.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.